Underdog Daily with the Badge Bro, singular today. OG, RotoRun, SoloRun today. Shout out to my guy Nez, who's got the family in town for Christmas right now, hanging out with his parents and stuff like that. So it's gonna be a weird week. It's a weird week for schedules in general. Like we got 2 Monday Night Football games tonight, which is awesome. We got an amazing Saturday coming up that has 2 NFL games and then 3 college football playoff games. We got 6 NBA games tonight, which we'll do full deep dive on there. And then we got one tomorrow in the NBA Cup. And then Wednesday has no hoops. So it's going to be kind of a different week. It's going to be more of me than Nez, which apologies in advance there. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. We'll walk through the NFL slate that was the Week 15 stuff there. Then we'll dive into Monday Night Football. I think there's a huge edge right now in the Monday Night Football contest that people aren't paying attention to right now. It goes by the initials AOC. I think it's a non-zero chance that he plays tonight, and everybody's drafting Desmond Ridder as if he's going to play. And if they're both active, there won't be a swap unless they do something funky on the back end there. I think we should be drafting Aidan O'Connell with the Q tag and then just swapping into Desmond Ridder if you want it after the fact or if you're forced to do so. Nobody's doing it. I mean, the best possible thing that could happen is you get like a 5 to 8% owned AOC tonight. Talk through the dynamics of that in a big way. Obviously, visit Unabated, talk through some of the pick 'em stuff for both football and basketball this evening. But 2-game deep dive, 6-game hoops deep dive, and then no hoops until Thursday. Tomorrow, still figuring it out. Maybe playoff best ball, maybe members only, something like that. Full definitive preview for the Battle Royale stuff. It's already up in the lobbies, 11-game slate. That is all that stuff's already up. So we'll do that on Wednesday. And then Thursday will be a massive hoops day. I think there's 13 games. So we'll do hoops and I kind of want to do a full hoops behind the paywall for those who are the real supporters, the 320 some odd of you guys who pay your monthly dues. I want to give you guys a little something extra, maybe a full hoops one behind there, and then off it on the clock on Friday with Pete. And Nez will be back for that one for sure. So hopefully we get Nez on Wednesday and Friday, but at the very least, we will get him on Friday for sure. Starting on the platform. Let's go to the Black and Yellow Dog app, platform of the people here. Give some shout outs to the community. A couple Dog Bowl participants from last week. They're finding success immediately. Shout out to Nick Vogie Berra. Took down the 5K in the $25 price point contest there, 5-entry max. Beautifully well-constructed lineup. Going to be some common themes in here. Josh Allen and James Conner as like two that stand out. Devontae Adams. There's a bunch of slate-breaking performances that were like guys you needed to have. That was the fullback dive there. And then shout out to Chad, who takes down the 1K in the cover 4. That was a late addition to the slate there, $10 price point, 4 max entry. Very, very similar lineups here, except for he had the Dalton Kincaid stack there. The soft fade, Josh Allen, did not work out so great. But the interesting thing about the soft fade for Josh Allen, as I bring up my own results and stuff like that, is what did I say on Friday's show? I was like, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it different than everyone else. And all my Josh Allen had James Conner with it, which was, pretty beneficial there. Yeah, there you go. Shout out to Nick there. Shout out to Chad, and shout out to Best Ball Viper, who is doing his victory lap tour on the internet right now with picture after picture, a dog as well. I mean, 2 years in a row that the Dog Bowl champion has then followed suit and adopted a dog right after. I know he's just simply fostering right now, but that dog is too cute to not hang on to there. He's gifting out 10 Badge Bros memberships. Those will come in handy later this week. I know Nez did a no strip Nez goal line stand draft thing on Friday there. Probably be mixing in a little bit more of the playoff basketball stuff. I saw Davis and Karain were doing some of the playoff basketball stuff. Now, as the picture becomes a little more solidified, it actually got a little muddier after this week. But yeah, interesting new wrinkles and dynamics to what teams might have the buys and stuff like that. So we will probably do some playoff basketball stuff. And then, I mean, every time I log onto the app, I see this scramble staring me in the face right at the front here. I think we got to find what the meta is for the scramble. I think we're gonna have to have some sharp people that know the golf streets pop on, because not enough people are clicking this tile at the front, myself included. And it starts in just 17 days. So yeah. Some chat going on here. Best Ball Viper is officially keeping the dog. Amazing, beautiful dog, very cute. Colin adding on, very cute dog. That's an amazing tradition that I hope continues. I mean, it's kind of organically happened. I know John last year after he won the Dog Bowl, he kind of just said it on a whim that he's like, "Guess I got to get a dog now," and then like a month later follows suit. And Best Ball Viper always been a dog guy. I know he unfortunately lost his dog last year or earlier this year, something like that. So for him to get a dog after, truly great, man. All right, let's talk about the slate that was. Shout outs to the members of the community. Their results, NFL. We had a late sweat there that got blown up by, this was afternoon only. I just played the 5 to bombs, got blown up by Allen as well. But I thought we had a live one here. We had a Baker Evans team, Devonta Smith, Hunter Henry, James Cook, and then man, how about those duds in the first round this week? Like Josh Allen breaks the slate from the first round, and you get 8 points from Saquon, you get 6 points from Derrick Henry, and you get 13 or 14 for Jamar Chase, which will be a theme of my weekend there. I got 89 drafts in. I got my 5 to bombs as usual, which kind of for once was my saving grace. As you guys can see, not a very good weekend for me, kind of like hovering around break even there, but it all was just on the back of basically one to bomb lineup there. I want to talk about goal line stand first because I didn't get enough in here. Shout out Copper Prices, Gut P, Mike C. I know I've seen Mike C around a little bit here. Juice McCaffrey was up here. This is where the true sickos, as you guys can see, the 12-person draft success has carried over from the Dog Bowl streets into the goal line stand stuff here. Yeah, I just did. I knew I was only going to play one. I actually drafted this on Saturday night when I was just chilling, watching Mathology on Pete's stream there, and then yeah, I was bided some time before I hit the ice there on Saturday night. But I did what ended up taking down the redacted Millie 2.5 Millie live final was this Rodgers double, and we talked about it. How we talked about it, where it got our Pick'em ladders home. Shout out to the Off and On the Clock crew on Friday there. We got our Pick'em sliders home with, leveling up Devontae Adams to 2 touchdowns and leveling up Brian Thomas Jr. to over 100 receiving yards there. And that, I hope you guys were able to play alongside us for that one, because I can't remember what it was in terms of total percentage there. 25 got us 1245. So hopefully you guys played along there, because that one takes care of some of the recent directionally accurate ones that couldn't get home. And we were so close with the game stack one with this Bryce Young. Just needed one more drive there. He threw an interception instead. We were so close with some of the stuff. So really liked where we ended up on some of that stuff. Exposures for me on the week, I got way overweight Trey McBride, like I promised everybody, and the Mike Evans price tag, likewise, similar thought process there. Jamar, I stayed off of like the Allen, as I said, like this 9%, because I liked the prices of the Burrow and Lamar more there. Obviously, didn't pay any dividends there. Running back position, liked the Chuba spot. Chuba was kind of my downfall. There did not have nearly enough James Conner, who I only had, as you see down here, at 7%, but happened to have him in the $100 lineup there. Yeah, just really liked the Cincinnati stuff, and then got on a little bit of Adams here, but I was pretty heavily weighted to Evans, Chase, and Trey McBride in the 6 persons there, which there you go. Didn't end so great. Battle Royale. Let's look at it. The Theater. I believe this is his second Battle Royale, career Battle Royale takedown. Very impressive. Just a player that like doesn't get talked enough by us around here, but is a noteworthy name on the site who has had some success over the years. This was the Josh Allen with double bringback from the Detroit side in Gibbs and Laporta, and then Adams and Evans and Connor. So really needing that Josh Allen in the first round to dodge the landmines that happened to be the first round this week. Adams and Evans and Connor, all the smashes there. I mean, we talked about it on the show, how like the Josh Allen stuff was going to be so hard to parse through which pass catcher to add. And it was very strange because Amari Cooper goes from 14 targets last week to 0, full goose egg this week. When Keon Coleman comes back and Dalton Kincaid comes back, the target tree just so spread. Obviously, Johnson had a million out of the backfield, 100 and whatever yards and 5 catches out of the backfield, led the team in receiving. Just bizarre run out for the Josh Allen stuff, but Josh Allen continues to smash. Your boy was a 1v1 away here. I had it with Higgins instead of Adams there, and then I had it also with the James Cook to Allen iteration of it, and then just got the tight end wrong with Kelsey because I scrolled down for the other positions, so I didn't need to scroll as far for the tight end, so I ended up taking one of those dumpster fire tight ends at the front end there. That's kind of all I got to say about the main lineups, though. The thesis on these naked quarterbacks from the S word bros starting to pay big dividends, man. Chat saying Nez might be hanging with the fam, but he sure seems to be in my goal line stands right now. I think Nez right now is chasing a little CLV with the David Montgomery news. There you go. GMs to everybody. Chip won the fullback dive too. I did not find my way into the fullback dive too, so shout out to Chip. Continues his crazy season here. We might have to start thinking about adjacent to the mountain with Chip, man. Chip is he's a fun guy, and he's a Discord guy, and he's a hang guy and jokes and that sort of thing, but he's undoubtedly a sharp player as well and doesn't get enough credit for being the sharp player that he is. Ed saying his weekend was saved by the 10th place there. Check out Ed's team here. Is this yours here, bud? This one, the Shilly. Chase Brown, so you needed on the redacted platform. Adams, Amon-Ra St. Brown with the Goff stuff. It's actually crazy there wasn't more Goff stuff at the top of the leaderboard with like Goff, Amon-Ra, Gibbs, like stuff like that, because like the Goff score was the 0.2 different than Josh Allen. So, I mean, yeah, it's just crazy that we didn't see as much Goff stuff at the top. I know Pete was all over the Goff stuff when we were hanging out on Friday there, but like just seeing these guys, I mean, you could have effectively drafted adjacent to the nuts with Amon-Ra, Laporta, Gibbs, Goff, because Gibbs outscored both these running backs. Amon-Ra was only outscored by Adams and Evans by 2 points. Laporta was highest scoring tight end on the slate, ? Pretty sure. Highest scoring relevant tight end, that's for sure. Yeah, that's actually crazy, man. The onslaught from that game. This is 2 weeks in a row that we've low-key waved the highest total game on the slate. Yeah, that's crazy. And then it's just absolutely smashed. No early slate can't handle the $10 price point. Yeah, it went, man. That's a rich man's game. Those $10 games there couldn't be me. Yeah, I didn't get the early only stuff. I imagine Awin found some success. This is Nick's lineup here. Shout out to Nick. Turbotron, back-to-back weeks. This is a top 3. He won the contest last week as well. I believe it was Deposit Kingdom contest for 2K. Very similar stuff, except for smaller field contests. You could get away with T. Higgins being a little bit cheaper. There's your Jonnu stuff. So Jonnu was the one who outscored Laporta there, but kind of harder to get to when it was like a Goff double. If you did like a Goff double, or you did naked Allen and then one off Jonnu, something like that. But the naked Allen stuff continues to be the S word. The S word crusher. Yeah. Anything else we want to look at here? I think Nez had. Oh, he ended up tied for fifth in there. So someone pointed me in the direction of Nez having a couple sweats. I was smelling the roses in the afternoon yesterday. We had our first big Christmas get together of the season. Some familiar names at the top here: A Wood, Big Fungi, adjacent there. Yeah, more of the same guys. This Brian Thomas aged beautifully. Man, Brian Thomas is an absolute dog, man. He even with Mac Jones right now. Okay, can I get the Mac Jones take off my chest here? I said it was the L word. I said it was the absolute L word to put in our pick 'em. The boys said no. The boys told me, yo, can't do it. And they laughed it off. They said next for my pick 'em. And he hit his completions higher in the first half. 18 completions in the first half. And that was my L word of the week. And we didn't use it. Yeah, some other stuff in the chat right now. Nico Joy saying the Sharps call. Yeah, man. When we did the primetime Palooza last week, we all kind of like looked at the Walker ADP and we're like, what the heck? Sharps was buried with that 5. Sharps was the guy you needed for that slate, and you basically didn't need any of that Thursday night game other than Puka. Yeah, so shout out to you for getting in there. Took down the $3 primetime Palooza. Love it. Mad respect. Congratulations on that one. We'll talk through some more primetime in half a second here. And yeah, copper prices. There you go. Copper prices in the goal line stand. Yeah, we checked in on the goal line stand real quick there. Let's just actually look at what the difference was in the teams. Yeah, so you could do the Goff thing. Goff was what you needed here because you could get it with the Amon Ra, and it was almost impossible to do Amon Ra plus Allen. I guess you could have done Allen plus Evans and Adams. That would have been possible. Bucky Irving as a Q tag in the last round there ended up splitting snaps. Rashad White got the touchdown there, but yeah, double stack team gets home here. The power of correlation in the 12s versus the power of correlations in the 6s. We're really starting to see the difference this season than comparative to last. Like last, we were forcing these double stacks in the 6 persons, and now all the S words and all the stuff that Davis has been running with Nerdy Tenor and Brick and stuff like that. I think people are really coming around on, hey man, we just need to hit the nuts in these 6-person drafts, and the correlation doesn't play as heavy. But in the 12 persons, it's more of like this ball knowers dynamic where it's like, here we go, double stack Detroit with a bring back, and then 2 one-offs from different game environments that were mispriced. Man, Gut P continues to have a good, yeah, shout out to Mike C. I know Mike C hangs out sometimes and watches. Shout out to Copper Prices. I imagine this lineup was very, very similar, except for Tony Redacted gets vultured at the goal line, and then he re-aggravated the injury and then didn't come back out for a while, and then ended up coming back out at the tail end of the ball game because he was stuck on like 7 carries for 27 yards and a touchdown for a long, long time, and then he was just completely inept after the fact when he came back out. 10 carries for basically 20 yards and a fumble in that stretch. It was a bad sequence there for him. The latter half of that Titans game. Gut P, something similar here. Mark Andrews, he went with that Allen Cook stack there. Loved that stuff this week. Yeah, good, well thought through teams at the top and here. Dread Pirate Roberts, 6 screen name. There we go. That's OG. Yeah, I only got 6 in the primetime Palooza there. We can check it out real quick here. A little dupe for the first there, but as I alluded to before, the basically just needed absolutely nothing. Wow. I was going to say you needed Puka from the other game environment, but turns out you didn't. It was all an onslaught of that Monday night game, which was the lesser game to get to in our estimation at the start of the slate there. And then that Sharps falling to like the 5th round was the skeleton key. There you go. Pick 19 Sharps. That was, you need to get in a room where the people were not wise and they were taking it as if Ken Walker was going, like the projections on the site alluded to. All right, cool. Let's move on. Let's talk about today. I think we should do the football first. Football is filling at a rapid pace right now for the primetime Palooza, so I want to get the takes off my chest, get them out into ethos. Nothing gets people more jacked up to draft this evening than a cover that has Paul George and Sam Darnold on it. But I really do think these are two amazing slates tonight. I think they're a lot of fun to draft and parse through here. We will start by going to the home, Unabated here. We will check at the live odds for this evening and such. We get a game total of 43.5 in one and 44 in the other. Falcons being road favorites at -6. Pretty big game for their playoff aspirations here. Desmond Ridder revenge game if we do end up getting Desmond Ridder, as I alluded to at the start of the program here, that man, I think the biggest contrarian lever you can pull right now is drafting AOC with the Q tag. Nobody is taking AOC right now. I've done a couple drafts this morning and I took AOC twice. He's going to test it out in the pregame and then see if he can go. I'm not overly optimistic that he can like gut it out and play this evening. And then you have to layer on the wrinkle that he has to play well to take down the slate. But when he is the last quarterback going every single time, and you have the option of either AOC and then just swap to Ridder instead of just taking Ridder like everybody else is doing, take AOC. I mean, I'm sorry if cat's out the bag for some of you guys who thought you were sharp doing it already, but I haven't seen anyone do it. And we got an update 30 minutes ago that he's going to go through pregame warm-ups and test it out. And that basically like raises the floor of all the auxiliary pieces in that offense, right? Yeah. I think it's thin, like he didn't practice all week. DNP. There's a chance he's active and then is the backup or like vice versa. I think the most likely scenario is he tests it out in pregame, he doesn't go, and it just becomes a Ridder game, right? Because, yeah, so this is the thing. If he's the third quarterback, emergency backup, I think he gets the out tag. I don't think Ridder gets the out tag if AOC is active, right? So, yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, so Best Ball Vipers like, how do you swap to AOC if he's active? You don't. That's the problem. That's why I'm saying you have to say it. You have to draft it this way, unless they end up giving, Desmond Ridder the out tag for the integrity of the contest and allowing everyone else to swap. That's why I was like, this could be a pretty interesting pivot. Now, I'm not saying build your whole portfolio around it. I'm just saying that's a bit of leverage there that nobody else is touching. Bears-Vikings game, similar totals. Vikings -7 home favorites there. Kind of just looks like the better game on paper, though. I would be looking at that and being like, oh, this could push total here. But you do also have a quarterback in Caleb Williams who looked putrid last week. He looks utterly inept after having a decent game against the Lions the week before. Hold on one sec. Yeah, so he has a decent game the week before there, then looks inept against them. And what do the Vikings do super well? Well, they get pressure and they get after the quarterback. And Caleb Williams is setting all sorts of sack records for in the wrong direction here for rookie quarterbacks. It's bad back there. Yeah. So, anyways, walking through this one, I kind of gave my spiel on the quarterback thing. I think Sam Darnold is QB1. We've talked about it ad nauseum over the course of the year, that the way in which he beat the Bears is via the air. So I do think this is like a nice spot for like Sam Darnold double stuff. I think I'm pretty comfortable double stacking all of these three in Darnold, Cousins, and Caleb. Desmond Ridder, I think you're just kind of buying into a little bit of stuff with his legs. We haven't seen it yet this year. Like he's ran a couple times, but he hasn't amassed any yardage, like 3 yards, 2 yards. But in years past, he demonstrated a little bit there. Yeah, so if you're looking for the Desmond Ridder stuff as like your last quarterback, I think it's fine to just skinny stack it. I wouldn't read too heavily into like the Vegas box scores and stuff. Like they've been densely concentrated around Jacoby and Brock Bowers for like a bit, but none of that was with Desmond Ritter unless it was Ritter in relief. And we'll talk about it when we get to the tight end position. It's odd, man. Michael Mayer led the team in receiving last week, and nobody's drafting him. If you do get Ritter in this ball game, like a skinny stack, like Mayer Ritter as the last 2 picks there, I don't know. You could do worse. 9 targets. Yeah, and at least that's a sample that was largely in tandem with Ritter, whereas you look at the other samples amongst the Vegas stuff, that stuff was previously with AOC. Yeah. Running back, by far the thinnest position and hardest to parse through on the back end on this slate. I think it's a clear 1-2 tonight where you kind of, just because of positional value and like the VORP, as all the kids are saying on the site, that I'm thinking you have to take Aaron Jones too. I know it's not a great matchup. I know they've been using Cam Akers a little bit more than they had in weeks past. I know Aaron Jones has a bit of a fumbling problem as of right now, but just in terms of like the weighted positional value over replacement, with Alexander Mattison coming back tonight, like that could cut into Sincere McCormick, who looked like he was running away from that job versus Amir Abdullah in recent weeks. Now expecting a little bit more of a split here with Mattison coming back, so maybe that's fun. Algier will always find his way, similar to like Blake Corum on the last slate that we were talking about, where it's like he's going to find his way to 8 touches. And if those 8 touches happen to end in a touchdown, like they have in weeks past here, or he's playing, some third down sets and rattles off a couple receptions in a trailing game script, I think that's more of Bijan's role than it is Tyler Algiers. It was Tyler Algiers in the beginning of the season, less so now. Yeah, he could be like the one-off you need if you build like a 1-1, 3-1, something of that. But I've been really prioritizing pushing up like DeAndre Swift into this grouping. I would take Justin Jefferson and Drake London and maybe Brock Bowers in some instances amongst this and kind of rank it like that there with like Robinson, Jones, Jefferson. Yeah, I mean, I'll take Bowers over London, and then these ones you can flip a coin between the London Swift, because the strength of the slate, in my estimation, is all at the wide receiver position, because there are so many darts to throw at said position comparatively on this slate. So I've been really prioritizing. I know we haven't seen it from DeAndre Swift in recent memory, and he's been really banged up. He hasn't practiced each of the last 2 weeks, and then he's kind of pushed through and then played. But no Roshan Johnson, Travis Homer, Darrington Evans is on the roster now. Yes, that Darrington Evans from the Titans best ball bags day era there. So yeah, I kind of like it. It's not a great matchup, but just looking at how thin, in quotations, the running back position is, like I'm even finding it hard to find scrolls that I like. You're looking for 5 touches and falling into the end zone if you're going to the Madison or Cam Akers route. So I think it's going to lead a lot of people to 1-1-3-1 builds on this slate. So everyone's going to be funneling that direction, which is probably correct in a vacuum. But I'm not really looking to double stack certain quarterbacks on this slate. So I'm going to have a lot of skinny stacks, then a lot of like one-off style build stuff with just like trying to pluck the highest scorer from the other game environment. Yeah, we'll see some isolated examples of that once we go through the drafts. Wide receiver position, I mean, we saw Minnesota go nuke last week. Jordan Addison's still a little bit buried, and the way you beat the Bears is via the air. So I'm a little bit higher on like the Darnold, Addison, Darnold, Jefferson, like trying to prioritize the quarterback a little bit, especially when you layer on the Vegas uncertainty at the quarterback position there. So I was trying to build out, some portion of those skinny stacks. We saw Atlanta come back to life last week there, and we saw both Ray McLeod and Darnell Mooney go for over 100 yards. So I think they're kind of buried. One sneaky little narrative. It's going to be hard for us to parse through which Chicago play is the best play. We saw Keenan Allen go ham on Thanksgiving there. We've seen DJ Moore kind of have the least amount of volume of the 3 since the coaching staff change, but he has paid off with some efficiency and touchdowns in 2 out of 3 games there. He did have that 16 target game. So I do think DJ Moore is kind of my favorite of the group here. Rome had the 2 touchdown game, but still low volume, 6 targets, 5 targets, that sort of thing. None of those big yardage games. I think if you get saddled with like Caleb Rome in like the 4th and 5th round, it's entirely fine to just build a skinny stack like that. Yeah. Anyways, a lot of words to say very little there. But I would be prioritizing. I like Mooney over McLeod. I like Mooney over kind of like the Keenan Allen tier. The Addison stuff I was pushing up a little bit, like up there. If you get AOC, the Jacoby stuff feels better, but we're not going to have that information before lock. So I kind of like some of the targets below Jacoby Myers, despite the volume having been there in recent week. One little narrative street you could put in play. The ETR guys like to talk about the shower narrative and such. Trey Tucker, Desmond Ridder teammate in college, also would have been playing on like the scout team, the practice team, in the second unit in practice and stuff like that. So you could have a little something there in terms of narrative. Just looking for the guy that he trusts and or likes. Maybe that's what factored in with the Michael Mayer usage last week. That kind of same narrative. I think it's Brock Bowers with a bullet here. I think there's a lot of fun best ball mania and best ball playoff stuff going on right now. A lot of people, I know Pete, one of them, needs some Brock Bowers love tonight. But there's a lot of good players still left that could flip the pods on their head this evening. I kind of have an isolated tier that's Brock Bowers. Then I have a 3rd round tier that is TJ Hawkinson. And then I have I don't give a shit. I'll just throw a dart at any of these guys at the back end tier. And it pains me to say that Kyle Pitts is in that tier. Cole Kmet had a goose egg last week, is in that tier. You can play whack-a-mole with the Minnesota tight ends there. I think if you want to play whack-a-mole with the back end ones there, Josh Oliver got drafted in the Dog Bowl last week as a scroll the F down. Shout out to Dark Sheep there. But it was Johnny Munt who scored the touchdown 2 weeks ago. That was against Arizona. That you saw that. So 2 targets last week for Josh Oliver, Johnny Munt. I mean, they're basically the same bet. I would only tack them on to Darnold stuff. And then Michael Mayer, I think, is a fine one-off punt tight end if you just don't want to take like Cole Kmet in a room that like where only 4 tight ends get drafted. I think it's fine to just scroll past this next grouping, especially if we get Desmond Ridder showed a little bit of rapport with the Michael Mayer stuff last week. I think that basically hits it. I kind of have Sam Darnold at about 8 or 9, which is going to lead me to a little bit more quarterback this week. But yeah, let's do this. Let's hop in. Let's see what it looks like. Let's rip 2 of these and see. We got $75 blitz back this week. I mean, man, these things are filling fast. Another thing we could probably do this week would be the bullpen. I don't know if there's going to be much love for baseball this early in the offseason, but say what up in the chat if you guys want to see a little bit of baseball content, because we could do golf, we could do baseball, we could do because we're still going to run shows, and I can look for guests and I can look for co-help and such this week. So we'll go with it. Sam Olsen, hey, shout out to Sam Olsen in a runner-up finish last night in the hoop stuff. We can look at the results from the NBA. I jammed 50 in the afternoon, chasing my losses. DMC 72, another throwback name that's been around for a long, long time, is a very good player on this site who doesn't get talked about enough. DMC 72 had one there. Sam Olsen, the Wood, who was on the program the other day and been on a heater ever since. Subscribe to his app. He has 2 in the top there. Grown Simba, another player who's having an unbelievable year, who I'm seeing all the damn time, who I didn't see in the past. And then T-Box. T-Box still up there, the GOAT of all GOATs, hanging out with the youngins, still having. All right, what are we doing here? We got active drafts, primetime Palooza. As you guys can see, I'm finishing up some slow drafts in the bullpen there. Friends and family draft, Sam Olsen, fully loaded. Logan Dempsey. Let's do this. I imagine we see at least 2, if not 3 running backs rattle off before it gets to us. This is your standard start. The Bijan, Jefferson, Aaron Jones stuff here. This is where I will prioritize Brock Bowers, and you can do a little game stack stuff with the London. It's entirely fine. I think people will like it. I think it'll be the most repeated combo in the contest. We could set up a little Vegas double, just kind of knowing we're at the back end of the board, and then we don't have to prioritize quarterback. We could do Jacoby, but as I alluded to, I like some of these targets beneath more than the Jacoby stuff. I'm going to push up Swift here. I know it's not a great matchup. I know he's had some down weeks, especially since the coaching change and since the injuries here, but I do think he is a leg above still this kind of back end running back tier, and I don't want to be the guy who gets completely shelled out at the running back position on this slate. So I'm going to go ahead and prioritize that. See what this looks like. I actually haven't, maybe I've done one that looks like this thus far. So we'll see in real time how this pans out. Okay, we getting some love for the bullpen. Okay. All right. Maybe I'll do bullpen. All right. No promises. Tomorrow is going to be some variation. I don't know if it's going to be paywall or not. It'll be based upon if I land a guest or not for tomorrow. But I'm thinking tomorrow has to be some NBA Cup pick ems with Unabated assistance. It has to be some playoff basketball and then either scramble or baseball or both, something like that. And then definitive preview for the BR slate on Wednesday. And then Thursday will be a massive hoops day because it's a 13-game slate. Actually, I haven't looked at how that schedule breaks up. Could be a fun one for Underdog to split them and give us like an 8 and a 4 or 8 and a 5, I guess, or whatever. I haven't looked at it. Sincere McCormick going at 10 there. That's something I haven't done a ton of research on. Like if we went coach speak on whether he's going to be the guy or not tonight. I think we could do like Mooney and Cousins here. I think that's kind of a fun way to play it. I think I like Mooney ever so slightly over the Keenan Allen stuff, even though recognizing the floor is bad. But to be honest, I'm probably going to take both here and push quarterback and then put my money where my mouth is. I think you guys know where this is leading. Yeah. So we got ourselves a Swift, Mooney, Allen, Bowers. It is quite a condensed player pool this evening, even at the wide receiver position, as I alluded to being like kind of the deepest of the group. But because everyone is gravitating to the 1-1-3-1 builds, it does lend itself to 12 wide receivers going in more drafts than usual, which leads us into some ugly territory down here. I know Trent Sherfield scored a touchdown 3 weeks ago. Nope, it's longer than that now. 4 or 5 weeks ago. Jalen Naylor in there scored a touchdown, but I mean, like, you're really grasping at like 3, 4, 5, 6 point straws at these bottom ends here. And I don't have big leans between like who's going to see one target on 23% of routes this evening or whatever, 23% of snaps, Josh is asking for the scramble. Okay. I'll get some irons in the fire here. I will throw out some messages today and see what we can do. Maybe if I end up landing a guest who is capable of both baseball and or golf, we could flip it to the other side. All right, so here's the decision. This is what happens almost every single draft, and this is why we set it up this way. You get left with this Ritter, Trey Tucker kind of thing. What I'm advocating for is you could take Trey Tucker. You could scroll down. You could take anybody else. You could scroll down at the running back position. You know what? Let's scroll down at the running back position, and that's not really a scroll, but let's take Tyler Algier here and play this through there. And then our scroll is going to come at the quarterback position. And I'm going to take Q tag AOC here. I hope he guts it out. I hope he plays through warm-ups here, and we end up getting AOC in this ballgame this evening. Looks like a game time decision an hour ago. Non-zero chance. We get a low-owned Aiden O'Connell for the skinny stack in here. I'm going to reach out to the draft team real quick. Give me 1 second here. Sorry, give me 1 second here. All right. Okay. I'm gonna get some clarity on here. All right. Because I think this is very important. I'm reaching out here. And I'm gonna get like definitive clarity and answers for you. Because I think it's huge leverage right now, because according to the rules and my understanding of what's going on is Ritter wouldn't get the out tag here. And if they're both active, that then Aiden O'Connell would be the starter and then would play. Whereas if Aiden O'Connell can't go, he won't be active in any capacity to be like the backup. So I think it's leverage. I'm going to confirm. I'm reaching out right now. Just get some clarity on the rules definitively. I think that's how it should be played. But yeah. Anyways, that's a fun one right there. Let's rip one more. See if we can do something a little different. Hopefully we don't roll the back end of the draft board again there. But just knowing that, like, hey, this contest is 70% full. What is it? 6-7 hours away from lock. Yeah. Either way, Ritter gets benched at halftime. There you go. It doesn't even matter, eh, T-Bear? Doesn't even matter. I respect it. So good. There you go. Nick's all over it, man. 50% AOC today. Respect it, man. Respect the leverage. And like the thing with AOC is it raises the floor and ceiling combo of all of the passer of all of his pass catchers as well. All right, getting a little dump for NBA news right now because it is that time, 11:40 my time. We just got an Embiid's going to miss a week. We knew that already. Kevin Huerter's been ruled out tonight, and Jordan Clarkson is probable. Okay, so that's the newest additions. We will jump into NBA in short order, go back to Unabated, and pop around there when we do the game by game for that. But we're going to do one last football draft here. AMAC, not Ricky, good Canadian kid. Actually, I don't definitively know that. I just know he's adjacent to the Vancouver region here. All right. Oh. Okay. All right. Standard issue so far with the JJ stuff there. I do think it is a tier break. I do take Aaron Jones here. I know there's probably a little bit of leverage in going the route of Cam Akers. Cam Akers seen an uptick in recent weeks here. I will put some numbers to that bullshit for you in half a second as I pull it up here. Snap counts for Cam Akers, 30% in week 13 and 32 last week. London plus Swift, which gives us the Brock Bowers decision here. I like it. I think the other one you could advocate for is DJ Moore over it. Let's do the DJ Moore over it just because we did the Brock Bowers team last time. Play a little bit of game environment. I do think this Minnesota Chicago game feels like it's going to be the better football game. I'm not sure it's going to be the more fantasy friendly environment. I think the other game might be more fantasy friendly if we get AOC, but I think it being fully hinged upon AOC's availability. I do think there's merit in running Desmond Ritter naked tonight too, and hoping to encapsulate, a little bit of that rushing that we saw 2 years ago from Atlanta. I guess it was only 1 year ago. 1 year ago where we were advocating for him as a dog bowl pick. I'm going to do the TJ Hawkinson thing. I do think it is a pretty stark tier break here at the tight end position. I was hoping to set up an Addison Darnold kind of situation here, but this might be a contrarian path to getting a Minnesota stack here because I can't imagine AMAC is going to take Darnold there, and he doesn't. He goes and sets up the Chicago 3 stack there. So let's do the Sam Darnold, one of the quarterbacks on the slate that I prefer to double stack. Obviously, this is a contrarian way to do so. Sam Darnold's been playing some good ball, and as we alluded to earlier, the way you beat the Bears is through the air versus on the ground. Now, how do we land this plane in a contrarian fashion without having to go the route of like a one-off nailer and just trying to encapsulate a touchdown like that? How do we make this a nice, intelligent, contrarianly built team? I think one little lever to pull is the Madison stuff. I do think like we're giving a lot of credit to Sincere McCormick, undrafted rookie who's played 2 games, who was on the practice. He's played 3 games now, but he's kind of been the lead for 2 games, and he was on the practice squad for the majority of the season before that. I think going Addison. I think going Madison is not terrible. Yeah, man, I want to get weird with this one. All right. Let's go Madison. It's really hard to find like cutoffs here. I think going double tight end with a punt tight end, not terrible, because I think, if it was gun to my head, who's going to get more targets tonight, John Oliver or like Trent Sherfield, I would take Josh Oliver. I would take Josh Oliver. Amir Abdullah, nobody's going to touch with 3 running backs being back, but still has a little bit of a pass catching role if you wanted to skinny stack Amir Abdullah. But man, it's thin. It is thin down here. We're left with 1 wide receiver, and I think you just have to take Rome, and you have to treat Alexander Madison was our scroll there. So I think we just take Rome here and then hope that the Madison piece, coupled with the fact that Darnold is stacked with no wide receivers, he is stacked with a running back and a tight end, is contrarian enough to get it home for us. But yeah, man, if I'm looking for paths to winning this slate, that AOC one is sticking out like a clear thumb to me because it's so hard to get distinctly different with some of these other ones here. These 1 running back builds with like Cam Akers, like they just, I don't know, man. They feel so thin. Turbotron, what up, my friend? We gave you a shout out earlier, showing out in the streets in recent memory. All right, that's all we got for football there. I can take a little look at the pick'em stuff. Obviously, just market-based projections right now on the Unabated, but take a little peek here for just tonight for Underdog and see what we wind up with. See if anything is popping an edge here. We are just getting basketball stuff right now. Take these leagues out. See what we end up with. Slight edge on the market-based stuff for Brock Bowers lowers. Agreed that that's very hinging upon which quarterback we get this evening, so it might be a little too early to do that one. Tyler Algier rushing yards on a higher, not terrible. Rome higher on the receiving yards. Michael Mayer higher on the receiving yards. Lower on the receiving yards, Aaron Jones. It's all pretty efficient right now and pretty thin, but we could tell ourselves a story and have some fun. Let's think here. Let's think through this one on the fly. Let's look at what we were liking earlier for the Minnesota stuff. Wow, Aaron Jones fumble lost. This guy's a fumbling machine. We're getting this 4-point. I mean, I don't like to bet against a dude, but little fumble for Aaron Jones tonight? Who says no? Scott asking a question that pertains to the playoff stuff. If we feel different about the Lions, I think you have to. I think you have to, man. Like that Thunder and Lightning, that Sonic Tails or whatever, Knuckles, Sonic and Knuckles split with the David Montgomery. And man, they've been pulling guys off the streets for 3 or 4 weeks to play defense right now. And Hayden brought up a really good point on Twitter this morning that it's like, man, this defense loves to play man coverage. And that's why you saw what you saw from the Bills last week, or this week, yesterday. Where they were getting so many passes funneled to the running back when they motion them out, see that they're in man, see a double team slide one way, and then flip it out to the running back, throw some of those wheel routes, throw some of those little Texas routes. Tails directionally accurate. Sums up my life, Turbotron. Yeah, Sonic and Tails, Sonic and Knuckles. Yeah, man, but yeah, you got to feel worse about them. Now, in terms of our playoff contest, if you get a Minnesota win tonight, I mean, I haven't done the full deep dive on the playoff stuff right now, but me thinks they'd be a better play in the playoff contest because they're less likely to get the bye after a loss this week. Minnesota pushes up a little bit. Green Bay continues to win. I don't know. I think there might be a little something there. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Maybe we've lost some leverage here, but I owe it to the people. We got 280 of us hanging out. If AOC is confirmed starting and Desmond Ridder is the backup, the draft games have decided they will make the decision to mark Desmond Ridder out so users can swap to AOC. So maybe not quite as much leverage as we originally intended there, but that is from the back end from the draft games definitively. So I thought we were getting a little bit of leverage with the AOC stuff. Nick thought the same. Yeah, by the sounds of it, we might have just lost a little bit of an edge there. Yeah. Okay. Yes, that is not what I anticipated. So that's what they're going with. But now at least we definitively know going forward. All right. All right. People are saying in the chat right now, T-Bear and Master Y saying they like Cole Kmet stuff right now. Cole Kmet had 10 targets against Minnesota last time. Interesting. No targets last game, and that was with the old coaching regime. I do like the narrative of getting the ball out quickly, though. I do think Caleb will be under pressure. If there are Caleb sacks taken, can we get a Caleb sacks taken? Sacks taken 3.5 for Caleb Williams this evening. Holy shit. 3.5 sacks taken, Caleb Williams. Holy. All right, you know what? This is a little bit for the lulz and a little bit for I genuinely believe this. Aaron Jones fumble, Caleb Williams sacks taken. I don't like betting against dudes, but these are two that stand out to me as dudes that we can bet against. I'm just gonna put a little cheeky BBM entry on that one to feel something. You know, I just if this game goes full dumpster fire on me right now, the two most obvious paths to it going dumpster fire are right there. Let's take that one. That's that's gross. That's gross. But everyone forgets that Caleb Williams can't swing a baseball bat, so he's gonna take 4 sacks this evening. Oh shit, man, that's funny. All negative. There you go. Master Y's in on it. Sacks and fumbles for Jones. There you go. We beat you to it. That's a good one. Okay. I like the Cole Kmet narrative of like ball out quickly, bad week last week. I think I would do it through the yardage opposed to doing it through like the targets stuff. Cam Akers, wow. Cam Akers only 1.97x on the higher for the rushing touchdowns. That's an eye popper for in terms of our draft game. Interesting. Okay. Let me go back to the unabated stuff real quickly here. Brock Bowers for the best ball bags is fun. Okay. Let's cook. Let's go from the heart and a little bit of the unabated stuff. The mayor one's kind of like hinging upon getting Ritter, I think, because it's like a comfortability thing. So I do think this quarterback narrative matters a lot. Let's do the Bowers higher for the best ball bags, for the vibes. Let's do the Bijan receiving stuff. That's a spot that we have liked this year. Receiving yards, kind of like game script agnostic, where it's like he's going to find his way no matter what, whether it's designed, whether it's trailing. Just one that we've liked, and a trend that we've noticed in recent weeks past is like Tyler Algier less and less in those third down sets and more of like change of pace, take half a series between the 20s here and there. Early in the season, they were using like a little bit of third down, that sort of thing. Justin Jefferson is just fully back, huh? All right, we're not going to live too outlandishly here. We're just going to go with 3 hires of the hashtag play the best plays. This is what Nez would want us to do. He would want us to stay in our lane. He'd want us to just play like, why do you always pick these dumpster fire players, John? Let's just have a little fun here. A little cheeky 6.7. Justin Jefferson higher on the receptions. Bijan higher on the receiving yards. Brock Bowers higher on the receiving yards. T-Bear saying not to do the Jones stuff. Cousins interceptions feels more secure. Cousins hasn't thrown an interception in like 4 weeks. JGFC saying he likes the Komet stuff too. Okay. If you guys all like the Komet stuff, I will drink the Komet Kool-Aid with you guys. I will do it. But I think I want to do it with Darnell Mooney. I think I'm throwing in a little magic of my own here. I think I like the Mooney on the receiving yards here. And then we do the Komet. And I think we do Komet via the yardage opposed to doing the receptions. We pair those 2 cheeky hires together. It's just a 3Xer. It's nothing crazy. We do a nice little 3Xer. And then we can mix and match all those combos above, preferably not the sacks and the fumble one. And we can make ourselves a 5-burger, something like that. But I think I really want to Nez Wood hedges bags. Nez hedge. Oh, that's good. All right. That seems pretty good. Let's dive into the NBA slate. Let's pivot back. Let me get it set up right quick. Let's pivot back to Unabated. Let's get the news tab open from Unabated. Most recent news we alluded to earlier in the show there. Joel Embiid. Something to do with his face. Facial fracture, something like that. We also lost Jared McCain. Kind of a shame. He was not a good bet for Rookie of the Year. He was a good bet before the season. He was not a good bet when people started betting it. Shout out to some people on Twitter smarter than me that were saying that. I think it was Josh Engelman who was saying that. Yeah, he tore his meniscus. So there's going to be some usage here. It's we saw some Kelly Oubre upped usage last game. That was in real time. Tyrese Maxey, Paul George, who I put on the cover there, who can fill it up in multiple categories, and the stocks. He wasn't shooting as much last game. Kind of deferred to the Maxey and Kelly Oubre getting hot there. But I like George's ADP tonight. That game, though, if we just look at totals and spreads and stuff like here, only a 217. It's a pace down spot. I know Hornets have been like a team that we attacked in the past because they were pace up and they were crazy and they were fun. And that's just not the case this year. So of the games on the slate, probably not my favorite to get to, but there's value pieces there. A lot will hinge upon whether we get LaMelo tonight. Just in general, there looks like it's trending in the right direction. I don't have a good read on that situation. But yeah, one of the major Q tags. I was kind of gobbling up that Q tag. I'm going to refresh, make sure I got the most recent NBA injury report here just so we could talk through on the fly here. All right. First game, Heat, Pistons, 219.5, 4.5 favorites on the Heat side of the equation. We've talked about how we've liked the ramped up Terry Rozier in recent weeks there, comparative to what we'd seen early in the season for them. They're going to be without Larson, Josh Richardson, and the fake Nikolai Jovic, aka Jokic. Heat are going to look like pretty spread, pretty thin, as they always do, where it's just like Bam, Bam, Hero, and Jimmy all going, and usually going in that order, all between picks 7 and 16. Nothing about this matchup in particular jumps off the page to me to be like, yeah, that's the one. That's the guy you want. On the other side of the ball with the Pistons, no Tobias Harris this evening, which might clear up a little extra minutes here for like the second unit, Sir Thompson, stuff like that. We got the beef stew game last time out for them when Dern was ruled out. We got beef stew to start there, Isaiah Stewart. And it did not go well. It turned into the Ron Holland game off the bench there. So yeah, Jaden Ivey's usage in recent weeks trending in the wrong direction as Mikal Beasley trends in the right direction. We talked last show about how the staggering of their minutes has changed a little bit there, and they really want the second unit to kind of funnel through Beasley getting his shots up. A good three-point shooter at times there. But probably Cade, Ivey, Hardaway, Duran, and then I don't know who's going to start at the 4. Maybe Simone Fontecchio, but probably Sir Thompson has ramped up enough to now start, which is kind of interesting because he never gets drafted, and we know he's a guy who can fill up multiple categories. He has not been up to full yet. He played 13 minutes last time out there. So yeah, that one's going to be hard to parse through there. But for our slate, all intents and purposes, probably doesn't matter outside of like 6th round dart. Next game up is the one we were just talking through, Sixers and Hornets there. There's a 6th round player who I've been going back to the well over and over and over again, who is an absolute point per minute monster when he gets the minutes, and he hasn't played up to it yet. But I don't know how you're going to play Big 5 against Big 5 without Andre Drummond starting tonight. So I don't know if they put Yabu at the 4 and start him alongside Drummond. I think that's probably what will happen. But then you get pretty thin at your center position in terms of second unit there, and you probably have to play small. And it's kind of hard to play small when you have Mark Williams and Nick Richards on the other side, and Diabates if they keep them in the rotation and run 3 on the other side. Drummond in the 6th round, man. It's going to hit one of these days. And why not ape it when the usage is going to be more spread without Embiid out there and without Jared McCain out there? So I see people taking Kelly Oubre in the 6th round. I see people pushing up Maxey and George in the 1st and 2nd round. I'm going to be taking a little Drummond tonight, but that's nothing new for anyone who's been watching the show for a while. I just don't know where else you can find 2020 with 4 stocks ceiling in the 6th round on a 6-game slate. You know, it just jumps out to me, man. It's like if my choices are Mogbo and Grady Dick and Miles Bridges with Melo coming back and a soft cap on minutes, or Andre Drummond goes 2020 potential in the last round, I'm going to keep playing to the past. I'm going to play to the mindset of the past that fantasy point per minute monster could finally get enough minutes at the 5 to matter and break a slate. Andre Drummond is a guy I'm going to be playing tonight. And I know it irks your stomachs and it makes you feel all queasy inside when I say it, but it's one that I'm going to be getting to. Next game up, Raptors, Bulls there. Raptors, I mean, man, they've been hard done by this season. Actually, sorry, I didn't talk fully about the Hornets side there. LaMelo Ball has a Q tag. It's been a calf strain thing. It's trending in the right direction by the sounds of it. I've been drafting Melo not at like his ceiling, but I've been drafting him as if he plays. Melo falls in kind of that pocket of like 7 through like 10. I'll jump back to the platform to illustrate a little bit better here. But I'm looking at this slate from like a macro lens, and no matter where you look with your projections right now, Joker and the way in which Joker has been playing against Boner this evening is going to project for like 9, 10, maybe even 15 more fantasy points than the next pick. So how do I mitigate that gap? It's probably getting full run LaMelo in the second round, coupled with somebody else, right? Coupled with an RJ ceiling game with increased usage, coupled with a Tyrese Maxey ceiling game. So I'm thinking away paths to first place to match the Joker teams that are going to project from the jump 15 points stronger than everyone else. And I think that's aping into the Melo stuff. I know it's high variance, but you can still get, the bad Bridges, Miles Bridges, as a swap option in the last round because he does not go every single draft, or at least this morning. I imagine by now he's probably going every single time. But yeah. Jump Free saying he had Drummond ranked all day, and now he only has 3 in his first 60 drafts. So people are catching on, man. People are catching on. Is this official? David Montgomery season-ending knee surgery? That sucks, man. That sucks. Jahmyr Gibbs, go get your Jahmyr Gibbs in the Primetime Palooza stuff, or not Primetime Palooza, in the daily slates. Where's Gibbs going? Gibbs, ADP 15. I mean, Chicago's not a team that you love to run on, but the Detroit can run, and Detroit's very good. This is kind of like that the BBM thesis coming to fruition of why Jahmyr Gibbs' ADP was so high is because it also opens the contingent value alongside it. Good offense, indoors for 14 games. Yeah. Now the touchdown equity that they used to be splitting, which is almost like a 50-50 split over the course of the last 2 years of like 18 and 18 touchdowns, something like that. It's more after the last 2 weeks. Now that kind of all potentially funnels to Gibbs. Hopefully we don't get something funky like Craig Reynolds mixing in the Montgomery role or something odd like that, and stealing goal line carries or anything like that. But man, Gibbs looks like a smash for BBM playoffs right now. Yes. So anyways, back to the thesis of the ball stuff. Is there a chance that he comes out and doesn't play full and he only plays 30 and that sort of thing? Yes, absolutely. But I'm going to take the ceiling potential of pairing LaMelo Ball with a first rounder, because as soon as he gets that green active tag, and we're going to get it early because it's one of the early games on the slate, if and when he gets that, I mean, where's the biggest CLV on the slate going to be? It's going to be LaMelo pushing up ahead of Fox, Maxey, Harden, who's, been really bad in quotations. People talking about how they were running that 2-man game and Norm Powell was doing all the scoring and that sort of stuff. Like, in terms of true shooting and what Harden's been doing with the turnovers and stuff in recent memory, Harden, even when he was hitting ceiling games, was playing quote unquote poorly, even though he was putting up 60 burgers in the fantasy department for a couple nights there. He wasn't playing like particularly good basketball. The shooting was down at the rim. The shooting was down, or shooting was unsustainable from 3. I don't know. Just kind of regurgitating some stuff that smart people were saying there, but some of the stuff that I was looking at as well, it was kind of alarming there. All right, let's go back to I guess the other question with the Hornets stuff is if Sixers play big and they start Draymond and they start Yabu and they're doing that kind of matchup, what do we want on the other side from the Hornets at the 5? And my current answer is nothing. I probably won't be touching Hornets at the 5 tonight. Maybe if we get no Ball and the Miller and the Bridges push up a little bit, then we can start having the debate on, who's going to start and who's the better 5 to play. I think it's going to be Mark Williams now, but yeah, this is kind of like the flippening that's taking place in recent memory. That being said, I think it's probably both too thin for our player pool tonight. So from the Hornets side, it's basically just playing Melo as in, and if Melo's out, Bridges is going to push up a little bit, and Brandon Miller will push up a little bit. But I think the CLV associated with Ball, even if he only plays 30 minutes, is better than the CLV for those other 2 components. Just where I'm at right now, how I'm drafting it. All right, back to Unabated here. Checking out the news. Nothing new has dropped here. Raptors Bulls looks like a fun pace up game environment with bad defense on both sides and the ability for guards to score on both sides in a big way. We're seeing a bunch of usage funneled to RJ without Scotty. Obviously we had I got a hit on it. I threw a tweet out about it. I'm sure many of you guys saw it. The Jakob Poeltl situation on Underdog. Shout out Underdog, man. Like, honest to God, the way they handled it last time out, he got swapped off of when he switched to a D tag. Then he ended up checking into the ball game. They could have just been like, sorry, so sad, Dems the rules. And instead they made right by the players and kind of alleviated that gap between where your Poeltl swap lineups would have finished versus where they finished with the swap player. That, especially it being a 3-game slate and the swap options not being plentiful and most people not having ranks set to swap because they did not anticipate a post-lock D tag. And then they did right by the players in the community by, giving you a little direct deposit into your transaction history to cover that difference. So big shout out to them there. Raptors Bulls Q tag on Levine, which is interesting. He's been dealing with these back spasms all season long. He played like 31 last time out there. LaMelo Ball has a probable tag. He's kind of been playing like in the 20-minute range each of his games out, but it ramped up a little bit last time. And then Vucevic, who's been my most heavily drafted player, he's listed with an illness. He sat last game. I'm anticipating him being back this evening. Not my highest drafted player today, but over the course of the entirety of the season, with the Woods data, was brought to my attention that he's my highest drafted player, which I clearly don't know ball, apparently. The Levine one's interesting because I think he's going to, the Bulls have never done anything smart when it comes to moving guys at the deadline. They should have got off DeRozan in the past. They should have got off. They need to trade Levine. They need to trade Levine this year, but they're probably going to try their best to get the 9, 8, 7 seed in the East and win a series or win one game in a series, something like that, because that's what they try and do every single year. But Levine would be a nice fit on some other teams. So I would not, I don't think he sits tonight. The back spasm thing is a recurring thing. I just think we have to be mindful of the Levine Q tags going forward, because it's a tough one. Shout out to Numi, who was amongst the team that made that decision on the Jakob Poeltl stuff. Much love, bro. Anyways, RJ for me this evening, if we go back to the platform here, this is a really tough range to rank this. I think it's a pretty clear cut top 3 with Joker, Sabonis, and Cade. And then I think it's another clear cut one until the next tier there between Harden, Fox, Maxey, and RJ. If you wanted to take RJ above this whole tier, I couldn't fault you, man. Honest to God, I like the spot so much this evening. The usage is going to be beautiful without Scotty Barnes, aka Scotty Bolway. They're the 2-man game that they run. They're also, obviously Bruce Brown still hasn't played this year. Manuel Quickly still out there. It just, man, the RJ role is so beautiful. I don't know. It's tough to do on repeat, but I will definitely have 20 lineup runs where I run RJ and Fox like this, and I push down the Harden stuff and I push up the Maxey stuff. I don't want to be under on Harden in such a good matchup, so it's hard to do. but I want to be over on RJ tonight. And who does it come at the expense of? Maybe Fox, maybe Harden, maybe Maxey, depending on the run in which I do. Yeah, that's just kind of where my mind's at right now. Melo will probably vault like up into that tier if we get the active tag, as we alluded to earlier there. All right. Yeah, that's kind of all I got on that one. Grady Dick goes a lot in the last round there. Thinking through starting lineup combinations for the Raptors tonight. I think Mogbo probably draws in. I think Akbaji draws in. So yeah, Davion Mitchell may or may not start, but I think it's probably Grady Dick starting, Akbaji starting, RJ starting, Mogbo, and Pirtle. Yeah, and then everything else is probably too thin to get to in our player pool, like Olynyk, Jacoby, and Davion. Probably too thin to get to. Yeah, so I think I'll probably be pretty tight on the Raptors, but I'll be pretty focused on getting them at the upper echelon. Bulls are interesting because of the Q tag on Levine right now, and then the return of Lonzo Ball, because it just takes minutes away from that guard rotation. We'd like to probably get over on Josh Giddey and Kobe White right now if we knew that Levine wouldn't play this evening. That being said, I'm drafting it as if Levine's playing. Yeah, which just makes it a little less desirable to get over on. But if you're looking for CLV this evening, look no further than Giddey and White or Iodasumu, something like that. If you think Levine does not go tonight, just opens up a little more usage for Io, who had a nice game last time out. All right. Cavs, Nets, another low team total and another big spread in favor of the Cavs. We saw this very similar situation last time out with the Cavs there, where Mobley gets ruled out with the ankle issue, and then everybody just starts pounding Garland and Allen, and then they didn't end up breaking the slate because they just put up about 40 each. We haven't seen a ceiling game from Donovan Mitchell in fucking forever. It's weird, man. Every night he looks like he's going to break the slate in the first 10 minutes of the ball game, or first 8 minutes of the ball game. Then he sits on the bench for 8 more minutes, and then it just doesn't come to fruition. When all 4 of them are in, it's really hard to parse through who your favorite is. I kind of always gravitate to Mobley relative to price point being my favorite. Not a given that he's going to play tonight, but he does have the probable tag. So I'm anticipating that he does go this evening. Craig Porter Jr. has the Q tag, which is just one that we haven't seen in a little bit there. Strus is still out. Man, they're just deep enough, and the Nets are just bad enough that it's just like, I don't really want to get over Cleveland tonight. If one of them breaks the slate and relative to price point breaks the slate, it kind of is what it is at this point. It's not a spot where like I'm looking to just dive into, like, because it's really hard to parse through where like expanded usage could come from, right? Ty Jerome's been playing some really good ball as well. Levert's back. Yeah, I mean, maybe 6th round you can mix like one of those two guys and then play it as blowout round, but it's not for me. Yeah, it's probably just kind of playing whack-a-mole with like one Cav in the 2nd through 4th round of like most lineups and hope it gets home. We got Nuggets and Kings here. Man, both these teams might be pretty condensed this evening. Christian Braun's got the Q tag right now, which matters just in terms of like what iteration of the starting lineup we're going to get. We had a couple nights there where without Jamal that they had Russell Westbrook draw into the starting lineup there. But if Christian Braun can't go tonight, that usual unit of like, Joker, Gordon, Porter Jr., Braun, and Jamal Murray, who draws in to that? Maybe Strother, maybe Peyton Watson, probably one of those two draw in to that starting lineup. I don't think you can start Westbrook alongside that. So Westbrook's still off the bench there, but that could be really condensed because, Nuggets are condensed in general. And then the Kings joke about West Coast Tibbs in Mike Brown. Kings are going to be condensed. Monk's going to continue to start. It's going to be Fox, Monk, DeRozan, Sabonis, and Keegan. Keegan hasn't been getting drafted, but the minutes will be there. So if you want to take Keegan in the last round, I can't fault it. Man, if this game plays to total and plays to spread, we could be looking at some really high minute ceilings from some star players, and it makes me want to get to this more so than getting to the Cavs stuff. So I was prioritizing like DeRozan over Mobley. I was prioritizing Jamal Murray over Jared Allen in those middle rounds. So this is a game that I like. The field kind of feels similarly, I guess, but yeah, it just that feels like the spot for me outside of like if I could circle the games that I like the most, it's Bulls Raptors and it's Nuggets Kings, and it's because of the high totals and the tight spreads, as you guys can see on the page in front of you here. Yeah, not a ton to say on both those rotations because they're kind of the most projectable of the bunch too. Like we don't have to get overly creative. If Jamal Murray didn't have the probable tag beside him and he wasn't like one game removed from being the Q tag, he missed a couple games there and then came back and played, I believe it was 31 last time out. I will check my math for you guys. Yeah, 31 last time out, 35 or 39.5 fantasy points. If he didn't have the probable tag right now, I think he would be going a little bit higher and he'd be up in that like Paul George, Tyler Hero range. So he is one guy that I'm trying to get a little bit over. If I had to pinpoint like some of those middle round guys that I'm trying to get over on, Paul George is one. The DeRozan one I alluded to, which is not overly fun, admittedly. And then Jamal Murray as another one as well. Yeah. I guess we kind of glossed over the Nets side. I like Claxton when Claxton isn't getting drafted, i.e. the Miles Turner thesis. So I will mix in a little bit of Claxton there, but like Nets, like Cam Johnson goes every single draft. Be interesting to see if Cam Johnson finishes the year on the Nets. I don't know. I think you should probably try and move on from him and get something there. But yeah, that 5 rotation, it's kind of gross sometimes with the Claxton stuff, but we've seen the minutes tick up and we've seen big time ceiling for him. So if people are taking like Duren in the last round or people are taking Drummond in the last round, I will also happily take Nick Claxton in the last round before I take, some of the Charlotte 5s. That's where I'm at this evening. I think there's a chance, like though the total is low in that game, I do think there is a chance that game plays faster because we've noted many times that Cleveland's played much faster this year. Yeah. All right. Anything else for me to say on this? Is a lot of fucking words. Sorry, guys. Anything else for Nuggets Kings? No, I think that's probably good. Yeah. Man, they got no backup, like big help. I'm thinking through this, like, cause I'm trying to think like Alex Len gets some run against Joker. I mean, you're not going to play it, but I'm just trying to think like, how do you match the Joker stuff? It's just going to be Sabonis versus Joker all night. Yeah. Keon Ellis minutes have been kind of all over the place. But he does feel, I mean, maybe some Isaac Jones stuff been up recently, but I don't think it matters for our game this evening. All right, last game on the slate, Clippers and Jazz, 8.5 point home favorites for the Clippers. Last game of the slate, late night hammer. As you guys can see on the right-hand side here, Jordan Clarkson is now probable. I see Keontae George and Lauri Markkanen going in the 6th round of almost every draft. John Collins goes in and around the 4th round of every draft there. I think the Collins pick is fine. I think he's demonstrated enough that he can play alongside Walker Kessler. Oh, sorry, I missed Kessler. Kessler goes in that 15, 16. Kessler is always a soft fade for me in that like 15, 16 range there. But yeah, shoot, man. I don't really want to. I mean, Clippers have been playing slow. Clippers have been playing some good defense. I really don't look to get to the Utah side in a ton here. Like, I just don't. The Collins pick is fine. I'll be under on Kessler. I'll be under on Keontae George, especially with the Clarkson probable tag there. Lauri Markkanen has just not had the same handling role and not the same shooting as we're accustomed to in years past. It's kind of a shame because I really like Lauri as a basketball player. It's just, man, it has not aged well this year. So this is kind of like soft fade for me in this game. The two-man game of Zubac and Harden are fine pieces, but as I alluded to, I like the RJ spot and I like the Maxey spot more than the Harden spot. So I think it's just accidentally going to come at the expense of Harden. This is a good get right spot for Harden after a couple bad games and the 9 turnover game that he had against, I believe it was the Nuggets. 9 turnover game, yeah, against the Nuggets there, 27 fantasy points. Didn't play the Houston game and then had a 4 turnover game with only 5 points against Minnesota. Obviously, 2 decently good defensive teams. So this is a get right spot for Harden, but it has looked bad in recent memory. And Norm Powell has been like kind of their primary scorer in recent weeks there. But if you want to play the two-man game of like Zubac and Harden, I won't fault you, but I will be on the other side of the accord with trying to get over on Maxey with increased usage, trying to get over on RJ Barrett with increased usage, just because I just don't love the pace of this game comparative to some of the other ones I mentioned. Yeah, I think that's the gist of it. Let me think through. Utah probably going to be pretty normal. They always run a little bit deeper, like 10, 11 when you get Clarkson in there, when you get Sensabaugh back, when you get Filipowski back. So I'm thinking George in the 6th round is probably one of the shakier 6th round picks. But he does have ceiling potential, obviously. I don't know. Can you get to Clippers being a little thin tonight? Can you get to Kevin Porter Jr. or Bones Highland if you project a little bit of blowout run, that sort of thing in the 6th round? Feels really thin, but I'm trying to find where scoring comes from on the Clippers. If it doesn't come from Harden and Zubac and Powell, which it basically only comes from, I mean, it's probably not coming from Batum, Chris Dunn, Amir Coffey. It's probably not coming from that. So if you wanted to get cute in the 6th round for Kevin Porter Jr. or Bones, I won't fault you, but it's probably too thin for my player pool tonight. All right. There you go. Just learned my school's 3rd string quarterback went into the portal from the news feed there. Awesome. Yes. Unabated showing more than just prop assistance and projection assistance. They are also showing us that Jump Freeze, 3rd string quarterback, went into the player pool. Noah asking for some pick'em stuff. Roll the tape back there, bro. We did 3 of the football pick'ems already, and I imagine we'll do a basketball one here in short order. Yeah. So I alluded to earlier trying to get over on the Jamal stuff. I think some of the Chicago stuff back here will age decently well. I really like the Monk stuff. I think Monk will project better. Obviously, tough. Oh, we're getting some news. Keegan Murray now questionable. That's why I wear my watch during the show. It is we're getting the news dump on the 30 right now, seeing at 12:30 my time, 3:30 Eastern, which means Keegan Murray now questionable. So he was one of our 6th round picks. Man, we're gonna like Monk a lot. No herder already. Probably not the nicest matchup in the world, but holy smokes, is that going to be a really condensed Kings team this evening? Probably going to make Fox over Harden. Yeah, this is fun. This is fun, that game in general there. Scrolling down here, Duran, I think you can get to it fine. I think you need the size versus Bam. Lonzo Ball, most likely just going to extract value from some of those other guards. But if we get no Levine and we get Lonzo in tonight, it's probably like par for the course for the Giddey and White stuff. So I still like getting the Giddey and White stuff. I like getting some Drummond in the 6th, as I alluded to there. If you want to play Jaden Ivey, bounce back. I'm not against it, but I would probably prefer a scroll the F down to Malik Beasley. Mogbo is going to be starting, and he's buried down here. You could do worse than getting like 30 minutes from him. Anyways, I think it's a fun slate to scroll, but I always feel that way. So That's nothing new. Let's jump in here. Let's rip a couple drafts and see what it ends up looking like on the fly. I think I've done 20 thus far. I think I've been making I've only done 10 hand builds. I think I've made a couple big mistakes in the NBA this year, guys. Nez is having a really, really good year. A lot of people in Discord having better years than I, though my volume is admittedly always going to be like half of the sickos just because of the amount of time I spend across multiple sports and then spend on the platform, doing the shows and this sort of thing. Just leaves a little bit less time for drafting when I don't treat it as like a full-time occupation, whereas like Nez kind of does. That being said, I think I've been making some mistakes with NBA this year. And most notably, my exposures have looked very, very good. And I've been getting on all the plays in which, have been, looked like quality plays or looked like CLV. The problem is I get on them too late, or I get on them at lock when I do the vast majority of my drafting. So I am pushing up players. Let's use the Jared Allen example from the other night. We could go back and look at the results from one of those slates. 43 drafts. Here's one that I did 100 drafts and clearly lost money because it was only 210. Shout out to Grown Simba and Gut P up there again. Holy smokes. The beef stew. So I was trying to get ahead of the beef stew. So maybe this one was a smartly played slate, but aged poorly. So maybe that's not the best example. Maybe this 65. What was this one? Yeah, here was the Jared Allen one. So I wanted to get over the field on Levine with the Q tag, and because I liked the spot, and I wanted to get ahead on the Cleveland stuff with the Jared Allen because I thought Mobley wasn't playing, or in particular, Nez thought Mobley wasn't playing, and gave me some good alpha. This was a slate in which Nez finished second. Shout out to the miso tuna, our favorite lunch combo. My watch just buzzed, which means we are on the clock. So I'll jump back over here and we'll do some more review in a half second. There you see Magikarp pushing up RJ, which I am totally fine with. Makes sense to me. I like the Fox spot, especially if you get no Keegan as well. I mean, he just plays so many minutes, and that could be a tight one there. And then I alluded to, I mean, the Maxi spot, it's going to be paced down for them. It's a low total, but I do just like getting over on guys that'll have increased usage. And my estimation is we're going to have increased usage on both Maxi and Paul George this evening. So I kind of like that one. Go back to the results for half a second and finish my thought here. So as you can see, 65 drafts didn't do overly well, but all of my Allen teams are all in the third round. There's a fourth one, round one, pushing them up third round, trying to get over on Allen. And my thought process shouldn't be to get over on Allen like that. And maybe this is primarily because I auto draft all of them or almost all of them. I should be thinking, how do I get the most unique versions of Jared Allen if I think Jared Allen is the play you need? And what you'll see in these lineups is Jared Allen isn't even fucking in them because it wasn't even a good play when it was all said and done. But you'll see that like Nez ends up with like Garland in replace of Allen, but he gets him in the fourth round. So same thesis, or he gets the Q tag Giddey, the Q tag Jamal Murray, who are in those last two rounds. Whereas like I'm getting closer and closer to lock and I'm jamming the projection, but so is fucking everybody else. So I think I do have to make a more concerted effort of drafting earlier in the day and taking some more definitive stances on Q tags or on spots I like before they push up. And my NBA process has been pretty littered with just jamming 50 at the very end or jamming 100 at the very end if I like the spots I'm getting to. And I'm basically just throwing bad CLV against good CLV every single night. And it's like, whoa, why did I not smash? My exposures look good. And it's like, well, you just had way worse combos over and over and over again. So I do think I have to really recognize, iron out my process a little bit more to be like, okay, if you're playing NBA today, NBA does not start now. It does not start after the show. NBA starts, 13 hours ago when the slate drops, right? So I do think CLV is a big error in my process right now. All right. Okay, so we get a little bit of a fall here on 2 ADP targets, which is a path to uniqueness. I do like the Jamal spot. I did want to push up Jamal here, but seeing as though we got the Zubac and the Brandon Miller like fall in quotations, I think I want to take it, and we're going to play this team as if LaMelo Ball does not play today. That would be CLV on the Brandon Miller stuff, because in terms of projection, he would probably push up into this Evan Mobley kind of tier. He would probably push ahead of the Miami guys if we get no Melo. He might be a 1-for-1 replacement for Melo at 11 right there if we get no Melo this evening. So having some 4th round Brandon Miller in my life feels good to hedge my my bets that I think Melo is playing and that I think I'm getting CLV on the Q tag situation right now. It's nice to have one in our portfolio where we do have Brandon Miller late. We could double down on the thesis and take Miles Bridges at 31 too, and be like, hey, they're both going to project better if Melo goes out. Now, do I want 2 Hornets pieces, especially if we get a soft cap on minutes on Bridges? Am I doxing my own ceiling with those plays? Potentially, but just something to think through on the fly. Interesting here, Jump Free saying he came to the same conclusion and he's going earlier today with his drafts because he thinks he's been bleeding because of it. Yeah, I respect it, man. John Hedge is the new Nez Hedge. There you go. Never Hedge. Oh, man. Got Quinn Hughes ranked above Kale McCarr today. Love it. That could be a fun game tonight. Might consider going to that one. I was looking at tickets earlier tonight. I would love to see Connor McDavid and Kale McCarr, or Connor McDavid. I would love to see Nathan McKinnon and Kale McCarr in real time. It is a bit later game tonight. It's 7:30 my time for whatever reason, staggering the start times. Magikarp all over my favorite scroll the F down there with Andre Drummond, which is unfortunate. I think we should take the Levine Q tag here, and we take it with our first pick because we're going to get a swap via that. And then I think we should scroll a little bit and do something a little unique. Drummond was going to be said scroll. I think you could maybe do Claxton here if that game plays a little bit closer than the 10-point spread would allude there. Not in love with the keynote stuff with Clarkson tonight. We could do the Miles Bridges double down. That one sounds good to me. Yabu, not terrible as well. Let's double down with the Miles Bridges stuff. I put it out into the world. Good fantasy point per minute player. Hopefully the minutes tick up near 30. And this is kind of a full-fledged if LaMelo Ball does not play this evening. Interesting to see Norm Powell going in the 32s there. Pretty good scorer in recent memory. Walker Kessler falls a little bit relative to ADP in some of these sharper rooms. I like that. Giddey over Levine. I think I would be taking Levine first, but if you have a read on the situation that he's going to sit with the back spasms, kind of just watching this one run out to see if Kobe White goes, because Kobe White's going to be a really easy swap for the Levine teams this evening. He's just going to look better without like 4 active ball handlers. Pretty standard draft right now. I do think there is a tier break at the Bam Pirtle. Like this Maxi ends at 7, and then Bam, Pirtle, Ball, if you think he's in or out, and Vooch as kind of a 4 tier. And then the next tier being like Donovan Mitchell and Paul George in just kind of a tier of their own. And then I think I kind of like the Jimmy, DeRozan, Hero stuff a little bit more than the Mobley stuff. Claxton, not the most comfortable matchup in the world. And I don't think they play small at the 5 tonight with like Simmons playing a bunch of minutes. I think Simmons will run the 4 alongside them at times. Let's rip one. That was a hell of a sentence. Let's rip another one of those. See what it looks like. And then maybe we can see if we have some unabated projections. Won't be out yet. They will be Yeah, about another 45 minutes or so. So we'd have to use market-based projections for the pick 'em, but we can go for there. This is an interesting spot here, like this 3-hole. I do think it is a 3-tier, like as we alluded to earlier with the Joker, Sabonis, Cade. Cade's been playing some really nice ball. The handling role is even better now that Ivy has kind of taken a little bit of a step back. Earlier in the season, they were kind of, working off one another, and he had a little bit less of a handling role when Ivy was out there all the time. Oh, when they run that stagger stuff. Oh. All right. Yeah, I think it's gonna be Joker, Sabonis here, and then I think Cade for me. I think I would rank it right now: Cade, Fox, RJ, Maxey, Harden, which is gonna leave me really underweight Harden and might age so stupidly. But I'm definitely gonna run a couple sets like that. Obviously Miami, not the best matchup in the world, but the Cade usage and Cade ceiling potential of filling up multiple categories is undeniable at this point. Awen made you draft Drummond to save you $5. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, Turbotron alluding to the puck slate right now. There is a puck slate up as well. 3-game slate tonight. That's a fun one. I really like all the slates on the site this evening. And it's nice to have because, tomorrow we're not going to have an NBA slate with NBA Cup. And then Wednesday, the off day, we're not going to have a slate either. So it's nice to have, 2 slates that we really like, or 3 slates we really like on the same evening to make up for that void in our hearts for the next 2 days. Let me take a look here. Most recent news, still just the Keegan Murray questionable tag. I will look up for you guys what the Keegan Murray Q tag was. Midday downgrades are, a death sentence. We've talked about it ad nauseum this year, how it's like the midday stuff is like 70%. The other Q tags are like 55, 50 to sit. Melo goes there. I think this will probably be Pirtle here. I think you could twist my arm in the Vooch over Pirtle stuff as well. Yeah. Well, okay. Let's do the Vooch. Let's do the Vooch. Let's do the Vooch over Pirtle. I think I like both today. I think maybe I slightly prefer the Pirtle side of that matchup, but Kelly Olynyk and Bruno Fernando started the other night after the Pirtle one, which was weird that they didn't just start Kelly Olynyk, which kind of indicates that Kelly's not ready to be run back up to full and play like, half the 5 minutes or something. Shout out Spags with the greatest Kelly Olynyk story, or my story coupled with Spags' storytelling. If you guys have been around since the OG days of doing hoops with Spags 2 years ago, you know that he split the slate wide open. I think Paul George here, I put him on the cover for a reason. I think the uptick in usage, I think he's going to have to be more assertive on the offensive end. I think he's been just eyeball test. I think he's been deferring a lot. I think this team needs him to be more assertive, man. Oh, Magikarp take down a dad, or is that in reference to Awen or Turbotron? Who took down the dad this weekend? I did not get in the dad streets this weekend, so enlighten me. All right, Butler goes there, so we're kind of pushing into this next tier that we talked about, kind of like Butler being the end of a break, and then this kind of like next big flat one of the auxiliary Cleveland pieces, what you do in terms of auxiliary Cleveland pieces juxtaposed to the Collins and Jamal Murray grouping. I am team Jamal Murray as of right now over said grouping. He goes there at 20 to Cowboys, another Dog Bowl participant there. See what Respook does here. He takes the Garland one. I've been playing all season John Collins over Walker Kessler, and it's paid pretty good dividends to me. I actually think if we just went bro science matchup tonight, that I kind of like the Collins matchup side of this a little bit better, you know? Um, yeah. But let's do the Collins stuff. I do get a little queasy in my stomach when the Utah minutes and Clarkson coming back and all this sort of stuff that, like, they're a little bit healthier than they had been over the last 2 week stretch. And the minutes could be a little thinner than we're accustomed to, but that probably does not directly impact John Collins. Guys, do me a favor. We pushed over 3K subs on the weekend. Shout out to you guys. Thank you for doing so. We're well over 300 paid members. If you're not a member, please consider $5 a month. Gets you those premium access shows there. I like what Hot Sizos did here, pushing up the Malik Monk. I really respect that. I will be doing the same. I think we take Jared Allen here, though. 5th round, Jared Allen feels like a palatable price tag. If you do look at the splits, though, with Jared Allen versus with Mobley being there and him not, like, man, Jared Allen has been an absolute black hole for our drafts thus far, other than the games in which there's been no Mobley. Like when he's played straight 5 and started at the 5, like, man, it has been he's been one of the least profitable players according to the Woods metrics and stuff there. And it's because I don't think we've caught up to the fact that, man, Cleveland, though playing faster, they're a little bit deeper than last year in terms of their bench depth, and the fact that their overlap is kind of killing both their ceilings there. But 5th round, Jared Allen, I'll take a swing. And there's a non-zero chance that probable tag for the ankle limits Mobley in some capacity this evening, or even gets Mobley to sit. I'm playing it as if Mobley's in right now, but Jared Allen could age like wine if Mobley ends up sitting with the probable tag. That being said, I treat it as if Mobley's in, and he's probably going to pop in projections at lock. Mobley, that is, regardless. I know the unabated stuff definitely shows Mobley popping at times. All right. Last pick here. I think you guys know who I'm going to lean toward. And fuck me, Respook takes it again. Oh, man. I cannot get 6th round Drummond on stream to save my life. We could take Keegan Murray here as some leverage that nobody else is going to touch him now that he has the Q tag, and then we could get some swappability because I don't think he plays after a midday downgrade, especially when it's not illness. It is associated with an ankle or something like that. Let's take Kobe White. Let's take Kobe White. I like the flow chart spot. We already took Vooch. So we're going to double down on the fact that Vooch and Kobe White are the guys you need, and Levine does not go this evening in this narrative of this lineup, thus boosting the projection of both Vooch and Kobe White. There's also like the Lonzo side of the ball narrative where it's like, yeah, he's going to take like 19 minutes and a little bit of handling from people, which is going to lower the ceiling of some of the Chicago guards, which we kind of talked through a little bit earlier there. But it is a P tag. If he does wind up not playing and Levine is out with the Q tag, you could see a real big boost in projection because of that game environment to both Giddey and Kobe White. So just things to think through. I don't think it's very likely, but just in terms of range of outcomes, as the kids like to say. Yeah, interesting stuff there. Just looking at the note on Keegan Murray, it is left ankle soreness. All right, then. All right. Man, Clippers are thin tonight, too. Like the Derek Jones, no Derek Jones, no Terrence Mann. Maybe I jumped the shark a little bit on the not loving the Harden stuff. Like the usage is just going to be so insane. It just looks like one of my least favorite games on the slate. But it is a get right spot for Harden. That's a really tough decision, that RJ, Fox, Harden tier. It's a very, very tough decision. But if I could pinpoint the combos that push the Joker teams tonight, it's going to be the following LaMelo stuff. Sabonis plus LaMelo, something like that. Yeah, I think that's really, kind of like my favorite pathway there. TYY saying Harden triple double easy. Yeah. James asking, we got any slider picks for the NBA? All right, let's give it a little thought. We can use the market-based projections on Unabated because their projections are not up yet. We could go check out the pick'em stuff. We're gonna have to act quick though. I know Oaks is watching. I know Numi's watching. They're sussing out what we're gonna do here. They're sussing it out. Lowers on Cade Cunningham stuff, showing a little bit of an edge right now. Nothing news related that could impact that. So a couple Cade lowers on rebounds and assists and points plus rebounds. Lowers on the Garland assist stuff. Mellow lower rebounds is really thin, but it's there. Beef stew lowers with Duran coming back. Sincere McCormick found his way into this one somehow. Lower rushing attempts on the Aaron Jones stuff. Nothing popping like crazy, but these Cade lowers, narrative street, tough matchup versus Miami defensively. Though we've talked ad nauseum about Miami defense in the regular season juxtaposed to Miami defense in the postseason, and kind of how like the Jimmy Butler defense is kind of different. Actually, you guys want to talk about this for a second? Let's talk about the Saturday night NBA Cup stuff. I thought Trae Young played one of the most complete basketball games I'd ever seen Trae Young play in my life. Man, I thought he played well. I thought he played so effing well, man. Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, that's all I wanted to say. Like, I wish we could get that version of Trae every single night. The handling, the scoring, the defensive effort. Like, there are a couple ISO cam possessions on the defensive end that I thought he looked like, man, that's Trae. That's Trae. And I mean, I've always been a little bit of a Trae guy, and anyone who's been watching for a minute, but oh man, that warmed my heart to see Trae play some good competitive playoff adjacent ball, because even the times with DeJounte, like, they didn't really sniff anything real other than like play in tournament stuff, right? So I'd really like to see like that era and this iteration of a more mature Trae, a defensively minded Trae at times, a distributing minded Trae. I mean, he's always been a great passer. But now you get Dyson Daniels to help out on the defensive end. You get Jalen Johnson playing out of his mind to start this year. Man, I'd really like. You get Hunter, 6th man of the year, potentially coming off the bench. I really like this iteration of the Hawks, and I was really impressed with what I saw on the early game of that slate. Though they did not win, I just, the 2-man game of Dame plus Giannis is just so dominant at times. And then on the other chord, man, the defense that was played by OKC, especially when they get Caruso out there as well. Like, you can tell they're kind of saving Caruso, but the defense that OKC played against the Rockets, man, we were sweating. Nez built a really nice pick'em, a five player pick'em there that we had knocked down 4 of them with ease early, and we needed 2.5 3-pointers from Fred VanVleet, and he was 0 for 9, and then he ended up 1 for 11 or 1 for 12 at the end. I mean, speaks magnitudes about the perimeter and defense of OKC, and speaks magnitudes of where the scoring is at with the Rockets right now. Rockets need some fucking scoring in a big way. Yeah. Yeah, and Reese Spook's saying can't wait till they get Chet back too. I mean, that team is nasty right now. That team is nasty. Clipper Nation saying he's ever so slightly biased because of the Clippers, but the top 3 Clippers should all score well against Utah's defense, in quotations, defense. Yeah, I might have jumped it a little bit on that one. You got to eliminate some of the spots in certain builds to get away with, and that's one that jumped out to me as whatever. Not seeing a ton of the slider variety stuff that I'm loving there in the pick'em. I know that was the original question, is if we saw something slide, because we did have success with the sliders. I think maybe we could get ahead. Like, my issue right now is I think the Q tags play, and that doesn't bode well for sliding things higher, because normally a spot that we can get a little bit of leverage early in the day is sliding. Here's one. How about Malik Monk? No Kevin Huerter, No Kevin Herter, tight spread. What if we slide Malik Monk's scoring potential? No Keegan Murray potentially tonight. Malik Monk to score 30 tonight. I mean, I know it's not the greatest matchup in the world for the guards there, but really condensed rotation. Going to play some good minutes tonight. It's thin, but we could slide Malik Monk to over 30 and we could get, eight fantasy or 8x on that. I mean, shout out to Turbotron, becoming a YouTube member. Found a way to re-up his membership. Yeah. If you're not a member, there's a button in the description below. There's also a sign-up button for Unabated. You get 20% off with the link below and using promo code BADGE as well. Shout out to Best Ball Viper, who also gifted out 10 Badge Bros memberships earlier. If you guys are on the X side, hop on over to the YouTube side. Give us a like, subscribe, notification bell, all that fun stuff. Underdog Daily comes to you, as we allude, daily during the weekdays, Monday to Friday. But 2 of those usually reside behind the paywall, or at least one of them usually resides. And then the nose strip Nez double dip stream on Friday there. So continue becoming a member. Okay, let's do this. All right, I like the Monk, and you guys know I liked the Drummond stuff too. Here's your sliders. You want to chase some ceiling? Let's chase some ceiling. This is a bit insane. This is really thin, but these are my 2 favorite 5th and 6th round ceiling clicks, where it's like their mean projection is not going to prop them up there, but their ceilings could push them super north here. Drummond probably best to do through points and rebounds combo. Points and rebounds, they won't let us slide. They're just giving us 21.5. We could slide the rebounds. That's 278x for 15.5. That's probably not enough for that number. So let's think about sliding the PRA here. We could slide the PRA 29.5. Doesn't feel great, guys. I thought we'd get a better price for sliding the Drummond stuff. It looks like Underdog is woke to it. What if we just do the rebounds? We're getting a little boost to the rebounds. We pair it with the Monk slide. Drummond starts. Drummond plays 28. Drummond missed a little bit of time recently. I don't know who they're going to turn to for backup 5 run unless they play small in the second unit with Yabu and they start KJ Martin, something like that. I think let me think through the Sixers real quick. They could bring Yabu off the bench to play backup 5 run because you could start Yabu. I like this. I think they got to give Drummond the minutes tonight. I think they got to. Let's do it. This feels fun. 1 BBM entry on this bad boy. I think you might have to go like a more traditional split at the 5 and start KJ Martin tonight instead of starting Yabu alongside him, which raises the ceiling of Drummond's rebounding potential without Yabu out there. That being said, Yabu, not necessarily a big body, not necessarily a huge rebounder too. So we get a little bit of CLV in our minds on the Malik stuff because if Keegan doesn't go and Herter's already out, and then we like the rotation for Drummond. We just talked ourselves into that one. 25 American dollars gets you 60, gets you 65575. There's your sliders. Ben Simmons game tonight. Question mark. TYY. I don't think so. I'm not feeling it. I just don't. I think you have to play big against Mobley and Allen, right? Like, I think you have to play Claxton. Clowney gets some run. Sharp gets some backup 5 run, something like that. I don't know. So now you play. Okay, so if we're going to do big Ben Simmons game, we do it as he's not playing the 5 and he's not playing backup 5 and he's playing the point guard position tonight. So now let's think through the angles there. Little up-tempo game with Cleveland. Simmons starts because they got rid of Schroeder. I guess he's going to play the 1. Goes to a more handling role. Still can't shoot. Tough defensive matchup versus Cleveland, but it is slight pace up spot now comparative to what it once was. Probably gets the Okoro treatment. No, Cam Johnson gets the Okoro treatment. Let's take a look at Ben Simmons. Let's take a look at Ben Simmons in the lobbies just real quick, because that one does introduce a lot of variance. I guess the days of Ben Simmons playing backup 5 are gone. Wow, 6.5 points as his pick'em. This could be one that ages decently in the pick'em lobbies because he starts and he plays the 1. Yeah, I think this rotation is going to be a little bit more of the traditional sense now without Schroeder and Ben Simmons playing the 1. Little more increased handling role. The assists tick up a bit. Not getting a great price on the assists, which is traditionally speaking what Ben Simmons would do the best with the ball in his hand. Sneaky low key. Not a terrible scroll the F down in the 6th round, Ben Simmons this evening. Fill it up in multiple categories. All right. Okay. Here we go. Double Ben Simmons. Starts at the 1. That's how you play Simmons, right? You could play it through PRA, but if we want to play it to get a bonus, we're going to play it like this. We're going to play it with the double stuff for Simmons. And then do we add... What was the Drummond double price? God, this is such a my guys gross one. 1.13x for the Drummond double. Wow. This double does look juicy. All right, let's do this. Let's go back to the Monk spot that we liked. These can be our sliders because this is a sauce it up. This is a spicy one with Ben Simmons. Let's play the Malik. Oh, we got it ripped. Guys, we went too hard. We went too hard. They took away the Malik Monk points. Oh, no. New me. Are you guys seeing what I'm seeing? Oh, here we go. Winky's telling us. Now, Winky's the guy who's got the alpha all the time. Ben said he's restricted to about 27 minutes. That probably pulls him out of our 6th round player pool, I'm not going to lie. If it was like a 3 or a 4 game slate, he could still maybe get home with the double stuff. But that's a lot to ask in 27 minutes. That's a lot to ask. Maybe just a little sprinkle, eh, Winky? Just a little sprinkle. Let's see if we got Monk points back. Because I want to get... All right, here we go. 17.5. Let's get the Monk points up. Not all the way up. We're going to get the Monk points up to 24.5 here. Play the no-herder. Play the no Keegan Murray thesis. Play the tight competitive ball game that plays to the total. Monk's usage has been nice. It was better when DeRozan missed a couple games. But we're Malik Monk guys around here. 1 BBM entry gets us 883. Know your limit, play within it. Right here. Because this is thin. This is a thin one. All right? I will freely admit this is thin. We got Winky in here who knows all the ball. Telling us sounds like a restriction of 27 minutes for Simmons. But this is probably going to be his first game at the 1 without Schroeder. Well, it is going to be the first game at the 1 without Schroeder. Nice trade. Nice trade by the Warriors, by the way. I always say his name wrong. Dennis Schroeder. Not the names guy. All right, guys. We've pushed almost 2 hours on our lonesome. You guys are probably as sick of hearing from me as I am sick of talking. But I appreciate you guys being here. Give us a like. Give us a sub. Give us a retweet. Jam out with some of these pick'ems. We'll be back tomorrow. Up in the air what we're going to do tomorrow. But definitely we'll be doing something with the NBA Cup. Obviously, there'll be no draft games, but we'll do some pick'em stuff. with the assistance of our good friends at Unabated right here. Beautiful platform. Promo code badge at sign up. It's our starting point for every slate, irregardless of sport. And then we will jump in the lobbies. Maybe do some playoff best ball. Maybe do some way too early battle royale stuff. We'll figure it out on the fly. Maybe some golf. Maybe some baseball. Who knows? Could be anything tomorrow. Could be anything. But there will be shows every day this week. All right. Time for Mr. Good Boy to go outside. Good luck tonight. Congratulations to those who won this weekend. Tons of shout outs off the top. Everybody's favorite time of the show. The end. Peace.